We're glad to welcome them here and just to be able to explain things to us and maybe get some volunteers for CERT. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Just like Teresa said, my name is John Spar. Most people know my name because I was on the ballot a few years ago. I tell people, they say, did you lose that race? And I go, no, I got the silver medal. I came in second. This is the way that works. So that was a good experience, and these organizations like this are important, and I was very happy to be able to participate in some of the offerings that League of Women Voters had. So thank you very much for having me come and speak. A lot of people don't know what EMA is. You hear it, you don't really want to hear it, by the way. You don't want to see EMA in action, but then nobody really asks what EMA does. Does anybody know, right off the top of your head, what emergency management is? Have you heard it before? How? Well, you have. That's cheating. Emergency management, and anytime I speak to a group of people, I usually get a blank stare back, and they're like, well, I think I might know, but I'm not going to put myself out there. But of course, we all know FEMA, and that is Federal Emergency Management Agency. Ohio has an emergency management agency. Actually, most states do. I don't know if there's any states that don't. All the states handle their emergency management departments, grants and money and everything they get from FEMA and their connection to FEMA, et cetera, is all handled differently. So what we learn here in Ohio may not be the same in Kentucky, it may not be the same in Oklahoma, it may not be the same in Florida. There are some places that are very, very good at emergency management. Florida, Hawaii, California, places that they deal with large-scale disaster as a normal, every year incident. I wouldn't say that we, as a state, do. Some years are worse than others. Some years are tornadoes, bad tornadoes. Like 2 years ago, we had hit as many tornadoes as we'd had in 3 years by May in the tornado season. Last year, of course, was it last year? Gosh, I think it was last year, was the Indian Lake tornadoes, which were just terrible for Logan County. We don't handle those the same way yet, because those are not normal occurrences for us. At least that level is not a normal occurrence for us. The way Florida knows we're going to have hurricanes. It's going to happen. The question is, will it be south? Will it come around and hit, Myrtle Beach, or not Myrtle Beach? What the heck is that beach down there? I can't remember. Yeah, will it be Gulf side? Will it be the Atlantic side? How is it going to, that's really, their question is not, will it happen? It's where's it going to hit, right? We don't have the same thing in Ohio. We haven't had snow like we had a couple weeks ago for a couple of years. The reason I know that is because my snowblower got really rusty the last couple of years. I didn't use the stupid thing. I want you to, I made this red, and it's a terrible design, but it pops out there so people can see. This is our motto at the Emergency Management Agency. And just to let you know, when I say we, I'm the only person in that office. It's the royal we, okay? The Emergency Management Agency office is one full-time person and one part-time technician who manages the radio systems for the county. So our emergency management office is me, but I say we because it makes us seem bigger. When, not if. It's not a cutesy saying for me. It's not a cutesy saying for first responders. I treat everything that we prepare for as if it's going to happen, because it will someday. It's going to happen. We have a section in our emergency operations plan for earthquake response. And you would say, yeah, we don't have earthquakes here. That's a California thing, okay? But we do have earthquakes here. They're just not big ones. But before you have the big ones, you have the little ones. So is that going to happen this year? Not likely, but it could. So we have an annex for earthquake response. We do it because it's when, not if. Everything that we prepare for is going to happen. I just can't tell you when it's going to happen. I do know that we're going to have a thunderstorm this year at some point, so we're prepared for that. I do know that we're going to get threatened by the possibility of high winds. We do know that because that happens every single year. But we prepare for everything else as well. Okay, I don't prepare for avalanches. We don't have any mountains for avalanches. I don't prepare for red flag warnings or major wildfires like California has, because we don't have that type of environment here. Okay, well, we do get field fires and stubble field fires. That does happen, but not at the scale that we're talking about Northern California or Southern California, frankly, for last year. They weren't ready for that, were they? So when, not if. That's the motto of the Emergency Management Agency here in Seneca County. Some of the projects from last year. We have a 5-year all hazards mitigation plan. It's required. If you want to get grant money in the state of Ohio or from the federal government, you need to have a 5-year mitigation plan where you've sat down with all the political subdivisions, you've sat down with the engineers, you've sat down with stakeholders all across your county, and you said, what's the biggest threat to your area? What are you most worried about? And you list all those things, you rank them, and we don't leave anything out of that. It's like a big wish list. Here's what we would like to do. Here's a big one that came up over the last 5 years. So 5 years ago, let's see. When I started this job in 2019, I hopped right into the middle of this plan. So it was put into place in 2020. It was accepted by the state in 2020. It was accepted again in 2025, so we had to redo it. Back in 2019 and 2020, I was talking to Republic, the village of Republic. They had an issue with their water tower. Well, they said, we need a new water tower. Well, water towers aren't cheap. You can't just buy them at, Tractor Supply and have it dropped off. It's a big project, and it's got to be done right, and it's got to be done as efficiently as possible. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but they put a new water tower up. But that was on their list. It was on their list last year when we talked to them. So it's on our plan right now. They're going to take it off. In 2028, when we start working on this plan again, and through the year 2029, when we write it, we're going to take that off because they're not going to need another water tower. So those plans are on there. And the reason is, first of all, it makes you sit down and think about your area. Do you have flooding? Do you have constant flooding? Is there something that's cropped up? Fostoria has some problems with some of their reservoirs. That's big money. If they want to get grant money to help fix that, it's got to be in this plan because it shows that we and they have sat down and thought about it. They've thought about it. They know what they have to do. They've done a little preliminary investigation and research into what it's going to cost. So they have an idea. They have pencil-ready plans, just a short narrative of what they want to do. That all goes into the all hazards mitigation plan. So that when the federal government comes along with a big bag of money and says, we'd like to hand out this money, and they apply for it, one of the first things they do to help cut people out is, have they planned for this? Or are they just saying, hey, we'd like all new sidewalks? Can we have all new sidewalks? Well, did you plan for that? No, we just couldn't think of anything good. So can we have sidewalks? No, you can't. We're not going to waste money on something you didn't plan for, you don't really need. It's not a waste of money. Oh, wait, you've got it in the plan. And here's why you need this thing. Okay, they've done their due diligence. Now let's move on to other ways we can try and keep them from getting the money. I mean, that's really what the federal government's doing. So, communication tower generators. We have communication towers all through the county that my office maintains. There's one at Bascom, there's one in Republic, there's one in Attica, and there's one at the Public Safety Building, and there's one at the Sheriff's Office. 2 of those, the Bascom and the Republic Towers, have or had 15 kW, 15 kilowatt generators, emergency generators. So if we lose line power to that, those kick on automatically and provide power to the tower because It has antennas and repeaters on it for law enforcement, fire, EMS, etc. It's pretty standard and it works very well until those generators don't work anymore. And that's what happened. They're 21 years old. It was time to replace them. We were starting that plan. We were putting together money. We were saying, this is how we're going to do this. We'll replace one this year, one next year. And then one of them broke. And we said, okay, well, we'll go ahead and get it fixed while we plan on doing this. And it took 6 months to get the part. 6 months of no generator, no installed generator. What it was 6 months of a generator that I hauled out there. And if we lost line power, I ran out and ran the generator, hooked it all up and ran the generator until we got the line power back. That's when we said, okay, we can't wait on this. This can't be a 3-year project. It's got to be done now. So we bought 2 brand new generators. And of course, one of the problems was the generators that were purchased 21 years ago were Isuzu engines connected to the generator. Well, you can't just go to AutoZone and pick up a part for an Isuzu engine. You have to order it from wherever they make Isuzu parts, which is not here. So we got 2 generators that have Chevy engines, so we can fix them locally. Water pump goes out on a Chevy engine, you go down to AutoZone and you buy a water pump and you put it on the thing. And you're back in business within a day, not 6 months. So we planned for that. Emergency operation plan updates. By the way, if there are any questions about what you see or what I'm talking about, or you want a little more information, please feel free to ask. This is a shortened version of what Shirley saw yesterday. You'll notice, Shirley, the difference is there's no numbers with this because I'm not reporting to you. It's public. You can find out exactly what we spent on this, but that's what the report was yesterday for the commissioners was, here's what we did with our budget last year. I'm happy to tell you what these things cost. That's not the issue. I just wanted to make it shorter because I talked for more than an hour yesterday. Did I not? Yes, I did. Okay, emergency operations plan updates. She's gonna go, that's not what you said yesterday. See, she's gonna keep me honest here. Emergency operations plan updates. The emergency operations plan, every county's got one. It's how we're going to respond to an emergency. That emergency operations plan has different annexes. Some of them are, like, for example, there's a law enforcement annex. That one, the person in charge is the sheriff's office. A sheltering annex that's in charge, Red Cross is in charge of the sheltering annex. Who else? Mass care. That's going to be the health department's in charge. A lot of them are mine. I'm in charge of managing that, and it's not that I have to do everything that's in the plan. I tell everybody this, when you're writing plans, when you are sitting down to make a plan, the end result is a book or a document or something that's going to go up on the shelf, okay, where it's probably going to collect dust until you have to go through it again. When you do have to pull that plan down to use it, do not be upset that it's only going to last about 10 minutes. Planning is not so that you have the document. The document just shows you did the work. No disaster follows the plan you wrote, okay? The benefit of planning is getting around a table with the other stakeholders and subject matter experts and talking about the possibilities and what can you bring to the table and what do you think about this and how should we respond to that. That's the relationships built around the table is the benefit of planning, not the document, because the document isn't going to do anything after about the first 10, 15 minutes. You know, at first you're going to go, yep, this is what we have to do. And then the disaster is going to take a left-hand turn, which is not in your plan. But you know who to call because you sat down at a table with them. And you go, you know what, we talked about this. We didn't write it down, but we got to call so-and-so over at this place and have them come in. Look what happened. Okay, that's the benefit of planning. So you can't sit down and write a plan by yourself. It's not going to be useful to anybody. You're not going to get anything out of it. The emergency operations plan is exactly that. It's a living document. Every month, I take an annex or two and I sit down with the people in charge of that and we review it. Is this still true? Are these facts in here? Is this how you're going to handle this? If not, let's go ahead and change it. But it also means that I have a conversation with those people every single time. Once a month, I'm talking to somebody. And some of those people I might not really get to talk to for a while. So that's what the updates are good for with the emergency operations plan. We keep a copy of the emergency operations plan at the office. There's one at the commissioner's office. It's a public document with the exception of some of the annexes. How the law enforcement responds to terrorism is not a public document, okay? We don't want people to know how they're going to respond to a terrorist attack, because then they can plan their attacks around our law enforcement. So, but most of it is, and you can come and see it there, or I don't know if I've updated it on the website, but I do put the annexes that are public on the website, and you can read through that. The mitigation plan is on the website, and you can click on that and read through it. It is a page turner. Yes, sir. Website?
Address. The website address.
The website address is, hold on a second, I got it. I think it's, man, right out of my head. How'd you do that?
EMA.org, isn't it?
It's not EMA.org. It is .org, but it's not as simple as that. I wish it was, but it's not.
Anything with Seneca County in it?
It might be. It might be Seneca County EMA. Might be Seneca County EMA, but .org is correct. Is it on my? I don't think it's on my card. I had it in my head until you asked for it. That's magic right there. An annex? It's just a section. There's two different ways that planning is set up. We chose an annex, which is, here's a document that's just about firefighting. Here's a document that's just about, they're all laid out the same, but they're called annexes. That's all. That's why I call it an annex.
You know, we have lots of trainings going through here and a lot of underground piping for oil and so forth.
Yes.
Is that part of the 5-year hazard plan, or where does that fall?
It falls in every plan, and I've got a list of plans here we're going to talk about.
Okay.
So all of those things fall in almost every plan. SenecaCountyEMA.org, right?
Yep.
I knew I'd get it. By the way, I am terrible at websites. That is not my forte, okay? I am not a designer. I don't have that. I don't do that. So it's a very plain Jane website, but it's a place where I can put my stuff. It's a place where people can go to find out what to do when it's too hot, too cold, etc. We can talk about that in a minute too. Public Safety Training Center technology upgrade happened last year. Because EMS needed to be able to do remote training, the commissioners put about $50,000 into upgrading the technology in the training room out there. We had just had a projector and some, basically this with a couple of TVs on the wall. What they needed to do was have a system that was going to allow us to have remote trainings that were like through Zoom or through Teams that were both ways. You had to be able to use that platform on one while using the other monitors for something else, cameras in the room, etc., and it was an expensive venture. However, it has expanded. Picture going and having a meeting at NCOESC. We're a little version of the NCOESC with the monitors and the cameras and the being able to do all that. And for some reason that fell to me. I don't know why. I think it's because everybody else said, I'm not good with computers. And I was like, and they caught me fixing stuff. And so they were like, oh, you're gonna be the guy that learns how to use this and teach everybody else. And I was like, come on, man. Okay, so that goes through me. But that's open to any department in the county. County government can come over and use the training center. We can seat, I don't know, 120, 150 people, something like that. So that upgrade happened. The last quarter of the year, we did a great big emergency operations center public safety building clean out, filled a couple of dumpsters up with a bunch of things. We had to make room and find office space in our building for a new EMS employee, an operations, a deputy chief of operations. When they hired him, they didn't have a place for him. And I mentioned to one of the other EMS people, I said, hey, where are you going to put Nick? And they were like, well, we hadn't thought of that before we hired him. And I said, well, when's he start? They were like, next week. And I said, well, we don't really have any space prepared. We have space, but it's not ready. And then it fell to me to clean out the space. And apparently, they're all busy being EMS people. I didn't have anything to do, I guess. Anyway, it was good because we got to go through everything piece by piece and decide what we needed to keep, what we didn't need to keep. It helped with inventory, and we got a new space for a new employee. So it was very helpful. We also had to upgrade inventory and upgrade all our computers to Windows 11, which was a bigger headache than you would think. Half of our computers you could upgrade to 11. The other half were like, nope, can't do it. And I was like, well, what's the difference? They look identical. And nobody could tell me. So we had to go through and figure it out. I only had 3 of my 23 computers were like that. Because in the last 3 years, I've been slowly changing computers out. Because 3 years ago, I looked at our computers and I said, I don't think Windows XP works anymore. So we started replacing those computers as they stopped working. So I was already up to Windows 11 on all those computers, luckily. Otherwise, it would have been very expensive last year to replace 23 computers. So that was the projects for 2025. I also write grants. That's my big, that's what I get chained to my desk for, is writing, is grant writing. Here are the grants that I've written in the last year or 2 years, depending on when they're available. Emergency Management Performance Grant I write every single year, and that pays for half of what I spend in that office. At least the point of that grant is so that since Ohio made it the law that every county has an emergency management person. Okay, that's ORC. There has to be an emergency management office. But Ohio said, we're not going to pay for it. You just have to do it. But here's what we will do. We will help you through FEMA with the Emergency Management Performance Grant. It's a 50% reimbursement grant through the federal government. So they give Ohio a bunch of money. They break it up and send it out to the counties based on your need, which is basically population. So when I started, we were getting about $85,000, $86,000 a year. That would pay for salary. That was the whole point, was we want to make sure we can bring somebody in and it's not too damaging to these counties to hire somebody, because we told them they had to have them. So this will help pay for half of that. We'll give you 50% of that money back. That salary and benefits, et cetera, comes back through that. And they said, here's a big wide area of stuff you can pay for, okay? Cleaning supplies and paper and copiers and the other things you need to run an office. And every year it's gone a little bit, you can't use that anymore. Don't do that anymore. Don't do it. But you can't, and it gets narrower and narrower, and the money comes down and down. And this next year, it's $64,000 is what we're getting for 2025, which is okay. We're fine. We're good with that. That's going to cover what we need to do. Homeland Security Grant Program is for another list of narrow area. You can do this, you can't do that. The problem is it's very competitive across the country. I and the health department got together and sat down and wrote that grant last year. Actually, it would have been the year before for last year. And we wrote it to ask for $80,000 in order to buy air monitoring equipment for our health department and our fire departments, et cetera. So that when you show up to something, like somebody calls and says, my CO monitor's going off, my carbon monoxide monitor's going off. We have fire departments in the county that don't have a 4-gas, they don't have a 4-gas detector to step in to see if there's CO in the place or if it just needs a new monitor. So we want to provide that. That's part of my duty, is to try and help fire departments get the equipment they need, and I write grants to do that. We had the preliminary pencil grant, penciled out grant. We sent it in, they said, that sounds good. You pass through to the second phase. Then I called about some questions I had about filling out the paperwork for the second phase. Does it have to be this? Does it have to be that? How do I? And the woman I called at Ohio answered my question and then said, listen, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but we've been given $8 million to hand out, And we've already got grants totaling almost $90 million of requests. I can tell you that your grant will not get approved. So I'd hate to see you go through all of this. The money's already gone. And I said I appreciated that because Homeland Security grant is a very difficult grant to write. They just really make it very, I think they want people to go, maybe we don't need this money that bad. So when you do write it and get through it, they can go, they really want this done. This is a very difficult grant to write. It's also a very long grant. We probably, if we had been able to get that $80,000, we probably wouldn't have gotten reimbursed for about 18 months after the fact. It just takes forever. It's just the way it goes. Public Utilities Commission of Ohio grant I wrote. It's paying for some training that we're going to have this year. Further on in the slideshow, we'll talk about that training, because some of that training would be good for all of you. Okay. Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities, BRIC grant. BRIC grant, this is a very interesting grant, by the way. BRIC grant is, what they did was they took 1.5% of the money that they spent last year. So this is every year. So they look back to the year before and they go, how much did we spend on disaster response? And this is the federal government, okay? FEMA did this. Oh, we spent, let's make it a round number, right? We spent $100,000. So they would say, we'll fund the grant at 1.5% of that $100,000. But it's not $100,000, it's $100 million that was spent in California, in Florida, and Puerto Rico, and Hawaii, and anywhere else that FEMA came in or had to provide money for. So they fund it, and then every year you can use it using your mitigation plan, building resilient or mitigating future problems. So the idea was every year, if we put this money into it, every year we'll have to pay out less money and less money and less money, because we will have fixed that infrastructure in communities with this 1.5%. And that's great, because we were able to pay this last year, we were able to pay for the, that's where we got the money for the mitigation plan. Which ended up not costing Seneca County anything because of the grant and because they allowed us to use man hours to offset the $8,500 we would have had to pay out of pocket. They said, we'll let you use your time for that. Hazard mitigation planning grant, paid for the 2020 grants, or paid for the 2020 plan, not the 2025 plan because nobody told us that they got rid of it. So I didn't write that grant last year, HMPG. Hazardous Materials Emergency Planning has helped buy a couple of computers for the LEPC. That's the Local Emergency Planning Commission. It's also paying for the rest of the training that we're going to talk about later. And I write that grant every single year because that's one of those ones that almost nobody takes advantage of. So they always say, sure, with whatever I write down in there, as long as I fall within their guidelines. I'll call them up and go, hey, I haven't heard anything. I need to start planning. And they'll go, well, we haven't heard back, but we didn't receive applications. The applications we received don't add up to the total number of the amount of money we have. So we can just say yes to everything. Fantastic. I love that every year. That's great. I think all grants should be like that. Poets has a community grant that every year I sign up for. And I've never gotten it until last year. They gave me $1,000 to work on the Roth ID program. Does anybody know what the Roth ID program is? I know you know what it is. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Roth ID has nothing to do with your retirement at all, okay? What it does do is it puts a ID, it's like a bracelet. It's like a pull-apart bracelet that goes on a car seat so that you can identify that youngin sitting in the car seat. So to describe this is kind of a sad thing. You get into a car accident, you and your grandchild, or you are taking a family friend's child somewhere, and you get in an accident and either you are completely and totally unconscious or, like I said earlier, God forbid, you are deceased. Who's that kid? How do you know? How's a firefighter know who that kid is? injured or not, you don't know. So we're going to be handing, we were going to be handing these out. We're going to help the Leadership Seneca County people. They're going to take this project on, and I'm going to give them that $1,000 we got from Poet for this. And they're going to purchase Roth ID tags and hand them out to people in the county who have kids, grandparents. I'm a grandparent. I've got a car seat. I have a couple of those tags. It needs to be filled out so they know who to call if we're in an accident. So they know who this kid is. What it is it sticks to the car seat, and then you zip off. The firefighter can zip off this little bracelet that has all the information on it and put it around the wrist or the ankle of the child as they get transported out. They may end up separated from whoever was driving the car, and we just don't know who it is. Well, take a look at the seat and see if there's a Roth ID tag on it, because if it's filled out, it's got all the information you need about that child. Blood type, a picture. There's all kinds of information that go in there. So that was a program that we wanted to bring to the county. And now that we hear that Leadership Seneca County is going to do it, we're going to help out with that. Teresa.
I have a question. Have they thought about applying that to seniors who are being taken places and maybe have a little bit of dementia or forgetfulness, and they get into an accident and they can be completely, discombobulated, you don't know what's going on?
You know what? I don't know that they've thought of that, but this, you could stick this to anything.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason that you can't use it. It doesn't say for children only. It's, you fill out the information as you need to fill it out. That's a good idea. And we probably ought to mention that to Leadership Seneca County. The woman that started this, her daughter was in an accident and was killed driving the vehicle with her grandchildren in the back, and they did not know. It was hours before they could connect those children, and she was like, there's got to be a way. So there's two parts to this. One is we need to get our hands on these, and they cost $3 to $5 each. Okay, they'll send them to this. They'll send the packets to you for $3 each, and you put them together and hand them out. Put everything you need in an envelope and hand them out. Or $5 will get you prepackaged, everything just ready to hand out. The flip side of that is to go around and train firefighters and EMTs to actually look for this thing. Okay, they need to know that they need to look. Maybe it's not going to be everywhere, but if we can get it out in the county, then our county people will definitely start looking for it. So that's the Roth ID tag and Poet community. No, that's just it. It doesn't need a database. It has the name is all written on there. It's just
the only place it exists.
The name and the telephone number, because then they can make that phone call from the scene. They can say, so. That's just so that they can identify that child. I mean, how much ID does your, 18-month-old carry on them? Right. And I don't know the relationship between that child and the driver. And the driver may not be able to tell me. So it's at least a step. Okay. HyperReach. We got rid of the WENS system by Inspirano Logistics last year because they just were not growing with what we needed here in the county. Nothing against them. They were great partners for a long time, but they weren't growing their system, and they weren't going to grow their system. So when it was time to re-up or find a new one, and here's what happens. By the way, we had a 3-year contract with WENS. When we came,
what is WENS?
WENS was the wireless emergency notification system for the county, and had been that way since before I came in. So 2018, 2017, they signed up. You might have heard others like Everbridge or Rave is another one. Different places use different wireless emergency notification systems. These are the things that come to your phone. You get a text message, or you get an email, or you get a phone call. That's entirely up to you, how you receive this information. HyperReach is just a different vendor. It's a different. So every 3 years or so, I reach out to 5 or 6 different places, and I say, this is our need. Give me a quote. Give me a demonstration and a quote, and we work through it. What's really useful for Seneca County, and what's it cost? Because, you know, we're not going to spend a ton of money on something that we're not really going to use that much. We need to be efficient with taxpayers' dollars here. So, but we also need to be able to contact you in case of an emergency. HyperReach emergency wireless notification system beat out the other ones for what it can do for us. One of the problems with the WENS system was there was absolutely no way to gather the information or gather, there was no way for me to notify people unless they signed up for it. Okay? And honestly, these days, it's tough to get people to sign up for something that's going to come. They're a little worried. They're a little worried about getting scammed. They're a little worried about the link that's going to show up on their phone. I'm not going to touch that. I'm not going to press that. And they have a real reason to do that. So if there is, one of the points here is location. Okay? People don't want to give their address. They're afraid that they're going to get garbage mail and whatever, and I understand that. We don't do that. We don't sell any of this information, and if HyperReach ever did, they have to give us all our money back and leave. Okay, that's part of the contract. So they don't. They don't take your information either. It's only for me, because let's say you sign up and you put your address in, this is where I live. Great, because if down the road from you or blocks from you, a ammonia truck rolls over and starts spewing ammonia, I'm going to open up my computer and I'm going to draw a great big square around where the ammonia cloud is headed. And I'm going to send a message to everybody who lives there in that block. And if you haven't told me that you live in that block, you're not going to get that message. That's the way WENS was. HyperReach, for emergencies like that, already knows where everybody lives. I'm not allowed to use that information, by the way, for non-emergency purposes. I am allowed to use it to save your life. And I suppose if you had a real complaint about that, after your life was saved, you can come back and yell at me about it, and I'll take it. I don't care, okay? But they pre-populate with data mined information, okay? Anything that they can get. I can't touch or see any of that information. All I can do is draw a block around where I am going to have a problem, and everybody in that block gets the message to either stay put, this is happening, get out, go away, go north, go east, go west, whatever information we need to give to you, and you'll get that information. I couldn't do that before. I tried that out. 2 years ago, there was going to be they were doing a blowout or a burnout of some gas lines, like gas heads. It's part of the maintenance. They said, hey, would you let people in Republic know? And I said, sure. So I circled Republic, and I was going to send them a message, and there was only three. 3 people in Republic had signed up. That's the only 3 people I was going to be able to tell that this was happening. So everybody else was going to think there was a big pipeline explosion, but there was going to be 3 smart people who, you know, were smarter. They were going to have the information more than anybody else. Now, if I do that, I get everybody, almost everybody in Republic. But again, yes?
So are they coming like as a text message to
Yes.
cell phones or?
Text message, a voice message, an email. It'll come to whatever was data mined, okay? Whatever they got from whatever they could find. So you might get a phone call, you might get a text message, you might get an email, you might get all 3. It might be on your landline and on your cell phone. It's mostly going to be cell phones because your numbers are out there. There's no keeping your numbers out of the world, okay?
Even though there's no directory.
Even though there's no directory, exactly. But that's okay because that's what most people have with them, so they're going to get that message. Even if you're not physically in that block, your address is there, so I'm getting to tell you what's happening in your neighborhood. That is, yes?
I use a VPN, so I can set my cell phone to say that I'm in Canada or Slovakia or Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to get me anyway?
No. No. But if there's a coup in Slovakia, you're probably going to get that message. Which is kind of interesting, actually. I kind of want to VPN my way around some different places and find out what's going on when they send out their messaging. No, it's only going to show Actually, that's not true, because if you set your address, it's going to send it to the number that's assigned to your address. Now, if you VPN, it's not coming back through that way. It's not looking for you through that. It's going to send it to you. For example, if you were VPNing your phone wherever, can I not text you a message personally? Can I not send you a text? Yeah, so you'll get that. Yes, you will get that. So that's, I'm glad you said that. You will get it.
I did get the sheriff's snow emergency warning Monday,
Right.
even though my phone may be set to run.
Right, right, because we're not going through the VPN, it's just going straight to your phone like a phone call or whatever. You're using your VPN for whatever you're using it for from you, but incoming, you're still going to get the messaging. So, so we have two sides to this. There's the emergency side, which I just described to you, and why it's important that we have your location or et cetera. And that's what you sign up for when you go to the emergency sign up. This is your basic sign up, okay? You put in where you live. It's a drop down. It's only good for Seneca County. Is there anybody here whose address is outside of Seneca County? You live in Clyde, and because it will not have your address in there. It's only for Seneca County. So there's lots of people who work here, have family here, want information from here, but they live in Fremont. Well, they're not going to get that information unless they give an address that's in here. So I tell those people, put your work address in. You work here, put your work address in.
I thought you were saying before that it was an automatic, everybody in your region.
It is if we can trust that 100%. I said that we would get most people because of data mining, right? And they do update those. This is a guarantee. You scan that, you fill it out. What I'm saying is if you don't do that, I'm probably going to be able to send you an emergency message anyway. That's why I wanted to make sure. See, how many people are here today? 20? There's 55,000 people in Seneca County. Now, if I get all of you to sign up for HyperReach, I'm only going to talk to 20 people. Okay? So it's best that I have an ability to say, hey, we've got a giant cloud of something that will kill you that's on the way, and I'm not just going to talk to the 20 people in this room. I'm going to talk to everybody in that path in an emergency. But it's best if you sign up and I know that's where you are. Then I'll tell you, there's some notes and some other things you can do with that. You can say, hey, I have we don't have a generator, but if I lose power, we're going to have a real problem because I got medical equipment's got to stay on. If we have 2 days of no power, that's not going to work out for me. Well, if I know that, that's one of those things we'll pull up. Who needs help now? Who can we send somebody to with a portable generator because we want them to be able to live longer than their battery is going to let them live. So that information is there. And we use all of that in a disaster to try and reach out to people. For example, if you put a storm shelter on your property, we'd like to know about that. Not because I'm interested in your storm shelter. I don't care what kind of storm shelter you have. I'm not going to go check it out, and you're not going to go on a list. But if you go to your storm shelter and a tree falls across the cover of that storm shelter and you don't have a cell phone with you, or you can't call out, or all the cell phone towers are down, I'm going to go check those storm shelters and make sure those people got out. And we're going to come along. We know Teresa. We know somebody's got a storm shelter, and we're going to go check. And we're going to go, big tree on the storm shelter. Let's cut that off and let them out of that hole. Okay. This is all kinds of information that we'll store in a database like this. It's not for anybody else, and the only time we're ever going to look at it is when there's a disaster. So that's the emergency side. That, I need your address. So when you fill that out, please put your address in. It won't let you go on, I don't think, without an address. But if you don't, sign up for the non-emergency notifications. Your road closures. Jurisdiction notifications. You live in one of the townships, they're going to have a meeting about something important, they can send you a message. I don't need to know that. I don't live in that jurisdiction. But you do, and you can sign up for that particular jurisdiction. Road advisories.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly when, 4 or 5 years ago, but somebody broke off on County Road 38, broke off a gas line standpipe.
Yep.
We lived about 2 miles away. You could hear it and see it.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no emergency notification of any kind about it.
You know why?
Yeah.
You know why? Nobody told me. Nobody called me and said, hey, we've got this broken off standpipe.
Okay.
It's the same thing that happens when somebody goes, hey, and this was the way it was with Wenz and before Fred Stevens was sheriff.
And we ended up calling the sheriff because there was no notification. We didn't know if we had to leave
Right?
because of,
Yep.
because the gas line runs about 300 feet from there up on 43, it runs about 300 feet from our house.
This is one of the big 8-inch gas lines. Yeah, there was no notification made. Nobody called my office. The sheriff's office didn't call my office when they were notified. The only other people who would have known that, so when that happened, the gas company would have seen a pressure fluctuation in their gauges. But they're wherever they are. They didn't call me either. Frankly, they don't have a vested interest in calling me because I'm going to hit the button, okay? And I'm going to tell people about it. They are hoping to get down there and it's not really that bad and they can get it turned off and taken care of and there won't be any news about it. We won't know about it and there won't be people complaining that this is a dangerous situation, et cetera. You know how it works, right?
I just signed up and I noticed that I can get weather alerts. I was getting weather alerts this past winter from the county. How is this similar? Is it an overlap?
Whether from the county, like from the sheriff's?
Yes. Level 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
This is different from that.
Yes, yeah. So I put out the same information. The sheriff in the last few years created his app and had people sign up for the app and they get information through that. We're all in a group text. So when he sets a level, I know that he's going to set a level. If you've noticed when those levels were set, they all come on the hour or on the 15 minutes or half hour or 45 minutes because we're all in that. And he goes, hey, listen, I think we're going to go to a level 1 in about 20 minutes, right at 1 o'clock. Oh, okay, great. Now we can all prepare. So it's not, ragtag. What was happening before was I'd wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning and find out that the sheriff had declared a level 2 at 2:30 in the morning, and I'd have a bunch of people going, how come I didn't find out about this till just now? Well, because I didn't find out about it till just now. I was asleep. I don't know how am I going to get that information? Now we all work together.
So am I going to get 2 text messages? One from you, one from this now, and one from the county? Or the sheriff's?
Yeah, these are 2 separate things.
Okay.
So you can choose not to get
Right.
that information from me, and you just get it from Fred, but it's going to come at the same time anyway. So yes. Yeah. So the non-emergency road closures, jurisdiction notifications, road advisories, things that are not emergencies. Okay, we're not going to use this list. And actually, if you fill this one out, it goes to a Google sheet that I created, and I have to enter every name and phone number in because this doesn't have that functionality. This is built for emergencies. We can use it for whatever we want, but it's built for emergencies. So the other side is if you put your stuff in there, then I know where you're at and I can get you accurate information in the case of emergency. If you want this information, road closures, jurisdiction notifications, road advisories, anything that's non-emergency, you'll want to sign up for this. And we can come back to these. If anybody has a problem signing up or it's too small on your phone or whatever, you can do it on a computer. You can also give me a call and I can help get you signed up for any of those, both sides of it.
Is HyperReach just Seneca County?
Yes, yes. I mean, HyperReach is available across the country and I think the world, but ours is just Seneca County. You're not going to get anything else but Seneca County information. And we don't put out baloney. I don't have time for that. I don't have time to send out sales things or, hey, come to this or whatever. I don't do that. So this is exactly what we've said this is for. If your township, we're going to set the townships up if they pay for it. They pay per capita, 12.5 cents per person per capita, will allow them to utilize this system, and they'll log in and they can send to the people who have signed up for Jackson Township or for Fostoria or for Tiffin or whatever. And if they want to use it to put stuff out, then they can do that. Running a little long here, so I don't want to take up too much. I do want to get to the training, so I'm going to skip across through, well, there's Attica and diesel spills, and this is a list of responses that the EMA has gone to or has looked into for the EPA or for others. So projects and plans, let me get down to the training. My office is also, I'm also the 911 coordinator for the county and the emergency coordinator for the local emergency planning committee, which we put on training for firefighters. What we do is we track hazardous material in the county and businesses that have hazardous material so that we know going in when there's a disaster what they've got, okay? That way we can be prepared.
John,
Yes?
are you alerted when hazardous materials on the highway?
No. No. On the rail, yes.
But not the highway?
Not the highway, and there's a lot. Now, we do have, we have a report, every few years I have this done. It is a commodities report that we do, that somebody actually sits out there and counts how many placards, different placards, flammable, whatever, and then we contact like the railroads and we ask for their list of the top 25 chemicals that travel through the county, and they have that information. So they send it, and we build our commodity and transportation report, so we know what's coming through the county. But I don't know on a daily basis what's coming through the county, except for hazardous material on the rails, and it has to be high hazardous material, not just all hazardous material. So no, they don't notify us. Okay. Lithium-ion battery and emergency vehicle response class. Doesn't sound like anything that anybody really wants to go to, but I promise you this is a cool class, and it's open to everybody, and we can have as many people there as we want. So it's on a Saturday, March 21st from 12 to 5 at the training center out on the fairgrounds. They're going to bring an electric vehicle. They're going to show you how the differences between an electric vehicle and a gas vehicle when there's an accident, okay? When there's a problem. They're going to train on how to put out battery fires, etc. This is a whole different world here with electric vehicles. Those lithium-ion batteries don't want to stop burning, and when you have those big batteries underneath those cars, that's a problem. So they're going to come out and teach our firefighters how to deal with it and teach us about it.
Who's they?
It's Bad Day Training. It's a company that does these trainings. They have trained firefighters, like retired firefighters and hazmat personnel that come out and teach our firefighters and our hazmat personnel how to deal with these issues. So that's one. The next one is hazmat awareness training. Everybody ought to take this. This will tell you about those placards you see on trucks and trains, et cetera, et cetera. This one is free, and there's no limit to how many people we can have. Now this one's during the day, 8:30 to 2:30 on, oh, I cut that off. That's going to be March 11th. I'm sorry, I cut off the date. March 11th, oh, it is right there, Wednesday, March 11th. 8:30 to 2:30. Might be a little bit less than that. The reason that one's during the workday is because I need our dispatchers, police officers, and full-time firefighters, and they can come to trainings while they're getting paid. But they're unlikely to come on a Saturday or a Sunday or in the evening when they're not being paid for that information. So that's why that training is on that day. And the big one, Skywarn spotter training. Everybody ought to be a Skywarn spotter, right? Right?
I agree.
Absolutely. You want to be able to look up, look at the clouds and go, yep, that's going to be a problem, or nope, that looks bad, but it's not. And you can do that with this 2-hour training. That is on April 13th, Monday, April 13th, over at Tiffin University in Osceola Theater, 6 to 8 p.m. The National Weather Service sends somebody down. We do this once every 2 years and train up. It's free. It's for anybody. We don't care how many people come to it. The more people who know is the less people that are panicky when we have a big storm. Also, you'll be certified and you'll have a phone number you can call in order to report what you see. Hail. They're going to go through all of that, okay, when we have a big, and they want that information. National Weather Service wants people to send them pictures. They want them to send them stuff on Twitter or X or whatever. They gather information and they want more people collecting it. So, Skywarn Spotter Training, Monday, April 13th, over at Tiffin University. These are the 3 trainings that are for everybody. The other trainings that we were putting on are for firefighters and require you have other trainings first, and then they move up through the hazmat training.
Are these on your website?
They will be. Yeah. Yep. These are PDFs that I have on here. This is exactly what you're going to see on the website. So, yes. It won't be there till Friday because I'm off tomorrow. But that's my next plan is to figure out how to put them on there without it looking stupid, because I'm terrible at that. Yes, ma'am.
Question on funding.
Yeah.
You're funded through the county
Mhm.
with, and in addition to that, county funding, you get grants.
Mm-hmm.
So if this initiative of no property tax goes through, what is the plan? What's the conversation been so far?
That was a question brought up yesterday at the commissioners' meeting, and Commissioner Frankert said that they're aware and they're looking at it, and obviously it's going to affect, but it wasn't any clearer than that. I don't know how much of the commissioner's budget's funded by property taxes. I know individual things are funded by property taxes, and you look at that at the auditor's website. You got your schools and libraries and.
Well, they also said that the state was looking at perhaps sales tax being raised.
Yeah.
There's talking about other monies.
They have to fill that gap.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
obviously.
No, they don't.
Or not, right.
Or not.
Or not. Or not.
I mean, they're talking about reducing property tax, but they're gonna try to get money somewhere else, so we'll pay no matter what.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the state will control that money. The local communities won't.
right.
True.
In the beginning, you said California and Florida had very serious emergency management programs. Does Ohio?
Yes,
Or
yeah.
are you just a county by county?
No. We're all tied together through the Ohio Emergency Management Agency, and they're very, very good about training, about support. I know the director, Sima Merrick. Like, she knows me by name, and I've only been in this job for 7 years. And I don't spend a lot of time in Columbus. So it's not like I'm there, but that's the kind of care that I have felt in this job from Ohio Emergency Management. They want the counties to succeed. They want them to be funded. They do the best they can. They definitely support with training and with people and themselves. Okay, it's one of the first things I do. We have a train derailment. I pick up the phone. I call the watch office down in Columbus, and it's like the eye of Sauron. All of a sudden, they just point it and look at Seneca County and start looking up things and filtering social media and looking for updates and stuff like that, and they keep in contact with me. They're ready. They're down there getting things around just in case I might call and say, hey, I need XYZ. And they'll go, okay, we're sending it up. Okay, we're asking this county over here to send their stuff over. They're aware of everything that we have. We keep the inventory of our county updated with the state for that reason, so that when Hancock County says, hey, we got a big problem here, they can say, call Seneca County because they've got one of those things that you need. They're very good about that.
Yeah, I have a question on, went out of my head, sorry.
Well, I'm available for answers anytime. But I want to hand this over to CERT real quick. Thank you for your time, and I'm going to stick around, so if we have some other questions, please let me know. Here, take it. Real quick, and you can do yours. The relationship between EMA and CERT is when we have a disaster, I deputize the CERT members because they're trained to go out and do damage assessment, et cetera, and I have a group of volunteers who are willing to do that. And then when we're not deputizing CERT members, I try to help them reach their goals as best as we can with the state, with support, et cetera, because what a great group of people. So I'll go ahead and turn it back over to you. John.
Thanks again, John.
Thank you.
I'd like to welcome Suzanne Black. She's recently retired. Suzanne Black. She's recently retired from 10 years as the director of the Community Emergency Response Team. It's a volunteer, all volunteer, funded with a separate funding stream, and they work and they coordinate with EMA and John on a daily basis sometimes, depending on where they're needed, what they're needed for. So she's going to explain the CERT program, and maybe you'll consider joining as a member, as I might.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. I'd like to get these started around. You just take one and pass it around. Thank you. Good evening. Glad to see you all here this evening. This is a great turnout. I was coordinator of the Seneca County Community Emergency Response Team since 2014. I've been a member of CERT since 2010, and I come from a background of credit and collections at National Machinery Company and PPC Insulators until my retirement in 2012. As of January 1st, 2026, I have retired my position as coordinator, relinquishing it to a trio of qualified individuals, and we'll talk a little more about that later. As I've been told, the CERT story began on 9/11 at Ground Zero. Many untrained volunteers showed up at the scene wanting to help. Doctors, nurses, first responders were put to use immediately. Others without particular skills were sent home. No one knew what to do with them. FEMA decided that this would not happen again, so began the training for the Community Emergency Response Team. We are a FEMA agency with our upline of Citizens Corps and sponsorship of the EMA office. John has been my advisor for the last several years and is my sounding board for any questions and issues that might come up. There's no funding from FEMA. We exist solely on fundraisers, donations, and grants. Our mission is to provide the greatest good for the greatest number in the least amount of time during a disaster. My husband Jim and I traveled to Emmitsburg, Maryland for the Train the Trainer course so that we would be able to provide the basic CERT class to the general public and future members. The FEMA Basic CERT class includes week 1, disaster preparedness, what to do when disaster strikes. Week 2, CERT organization, where do we fit in with the chain of command of the incident commanders. Week 3, fire safety, what to do about that octopus of electrical cords attached to one outlet. Week 4, fire search and rescue, how to systematically search for patients and survivors. Week 5 and 6, medical operations 1 and 2, includes basic first aid and a whole lot more. Week 7, disaster psychology, how to watch your fellow first responder for signs that they may need help, and what to say to survivors. Week 8, terrorism and CERT, our role in a terrorism attack. Every new member must complete the basic class, pass a test, and participate in an exercise before becoming a CERT team member. We also offer CPR, traffic management, and emergency communications to the team members. Our monthly meetings also include a guest speaker or an hour of training. And not everyone who takes the class chooses to become a team member. And that's okay, because the knowledge they receive will help their families and their neighbors during a disaster. A few of the team members use the CERT program as a stepping stone to become an EMT, a paramedic, or even a firefighter. The CERT program is a great way to give back to the community. We respond to fire scenes, flooding, traffic accidents through the sheriff's dispatch by request of the incident commander or the fire chief on scene. The Seneca County Firefighters Association has asked us to provide canteen service to the 13 fire departments in Seneca County when on a fire scene. We bring snacks and drinks, and many local businesses have agreed to donate hot sandwiches, pizza, chicken tenders, whatever may be easy for them to fix on their menu today. A few years ago, we were gifted a Rehab 1, which houses all our traffic equipment and the canteen supplies and equipment. It's an old 2001 unit that Box 15 in Columbus was looking for a new home. We sent a committee to look at it, and they agreed that it would be a great addition for the team. We no longer have to load supplies and equipment into private vehicles to go to a fire or accident scene. If you look on your larger brochure there, the front page has a picture of the Rehab 1 with the team members surrounding it. And inside there are more pictures of rehab, as well as the team at various exercises and such. We can rehab the firefighters, the Seneca East Tiger Classic, the Seneca East Stars, Stripes, and Lights, the Findlay Armed Forces Day, Alzheimer's work, TU Heidelberg University graduations, and many, many others. You may have seen us out during some of those events. Our latest accomplishment is the new Seneca County Support Operations Center. It's located behind the Public Safety Building on the Seneca County Fairgrounds. The building houses Rehab 1 and all our supplies and equipment in one central location. We had previously moved Rehab 1 into one of the barns at the fairgrounds and then to Clinton Township Firehouse Number 2 before having a permanent location. The Seneca County Water Rescue Team had their equipment stored all over Seneca County, and they're now sharing space with the CERT in the SOC. Since some members of CERT are part of Water Rescue, it made sense to house the two teams' equipment in one location. All support equipment and supplies are now in one most central location, and there's no question where to go to pick it up when we're dispatched. One of our team members knew of a benefactor and introduced us. They were pleased with our mission and what we do for the community, and were able to provide funding for this building, and we are extremely grateful to them. I'd like to give you a taste of some of the basic CERT training that new members receive. The emergency supply kit, this little one, is my favorite brochure. It lists a lot of the things that you need to keep in a supply kit for your home, and it can also be modified for your go kit. If you need to evacuate